Welcome to the Juice Radio Talk Show. 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 Reality TV's church reviews. Let's talk happy love and marriage lifestyle. Come and talk with us. Come and share with us. Come and laugh with us. Come on and pray with us.
Regina and Clovis, special guests. You should be following your lead. Bless, subscribe on YouTube, listen on podcasts. We live on IG and Facebook. This episode is sponsored by Truth and Triumph Ministries.
Everyone, and happy Monday. Welcome to the Money Monday show. I am your host today, Pastor Tawana Grant. I am so excited. We are coming to our Thanksgiving celebration. I hope that you recognize that we have something to be thankful for. So we appreciate the Juice Radio and Talk Show with our CEO, Pastor Regina Ogborn and Clovis Ogborn. We appreciate them and we give thanks. And so we are grateful for this platform and the opportunity to share, to continue to enable those of you who are innovators and entrepreneurs and ministry leaders and those interested in growing your faith and moving into new dimensions. I'm so excited that you continue to join us here on the Juice Radio and Talk Show. Make sure you go onto YouTube and subscribe. Click that bell so that you'll know when we are available for you to listen in and participate. So thank you today for those who are participating. Welcome, Lady Virgo. I appreciate you being here with us today. And those of you who will join us and those who will even watch on the replay, make sure you do pound replay so that we know you had an opportunity to view the show on today. So we are closing out. This is our last session on our series, what we've been talking about, which is closing the gap. We want to finish not just a year, but we want to close the gap to make sure that we are where we need to be in the appropriate spaces of moving our vision and mission forward. So today, again, welcome back. Welcome back. It is our final installment of our 5-point series. So today, this fourth quarter is not your finish line. We want to make sure that you know that because the year is still moving forward and we refuse to drift even though we're coming to the end of the year. Sometimes you hear about that getting your second win. This is the time when you want to get your second win, where you want to make sure that you are investing in you as the visionary, as the leader. You want to make sure that you're investing in you, that your tank stays full, and then also investing in your mission and vision and your people. So here we want to remind you that we're looking to evaluate our dashboard. Where am I in what I am doing and where I'm moving the ministry forward? Where am I? So it's always a good point to make sure that we evaluate our location. You know, every building, especially a governmental building that you move to, they always have a "you're here" sign on the wall. Why? Because in the case of an emergency, they want you to know where you are. They want you to know that you need to move to a particular place in that direction that you need to go into so that you can get the help that you need. And so here today, we want to let you know that your team performance speaks, your numbers speak, your systems speak. Everything that is valuable to you is going to speak in this systems in this season. So we've got to give attention. Even your customers and your partners have a voice. And so please make sure that you're listening, you're adhering, and you are adjusting as necessary. You can't expect to move forward doing the same things. Okay, you want to make sure that you're moving forward and you're doing what's necessary to regroup, reassess, refine, to make sure that you're making the right decisions to move the needle forward. Move the needle forward. We want to make sure that you're doing that. Here, we have some other things we want to talk about today. That high capacity leaders don't just enter the new year casually. So that's what we're trying to say. Make sure you keep your fuel. Welcome, Tarsha. We want to make sure that you're keeping awareness that we don't just go into whatever we're doing haphazardly. We don't just fall into it. We go into it with intentionality. So with our data, with our direction, with our discipline, We want to make sure that we have divine clarity about how we're moving forward, even as we close out the year. Just because we are closing out the year, we are not done yet. Until we meet our next goal, we're not done yet. So we want to encourage you that you're always thinking about it from that perspective. Yes, celebrate your wins. Give thanks. Give praise to God for what he's already done, but there's so much more for us to do. So remember, we are intentional in our work. So today we're talking about shifting you from ending a year to re-engineering our mind to think that we are engineering to launch, that we're going into something, that we're moving forward in the new year. So we're not just closing the door. No, what we're doing is we're unlocking the next one. Even though this one is coming to closure, we're getting ready and preparing so that we're unlocking the doors of the next one. Because leaders don't just wait for January to start. They build momentum before January. And then when January meets, when it comes in, we are already in momentum. We already have motion. We're already intentional. So today we're finishing strong and we're starting even stronger. While we're finishing the year out strong, we're moving into this new year even stronger. Habakkuk talks about that. Write the vision, make it plain so that he that readeth can run with it. And so here, the vision is also for an appointed time. And so we know that the scripture is a business principle as well. Here, it is a leadership principle as well. Here, it is a ministry operation principle as well that we can apply it. So making it plain. How do you make it plain in your business, in your ministry? Because you clarify your model, you define your metrics, you align your resources, you make sure that you communicate your direction. Where are we going? How do we want to get there? You position your team to execute, and you make the vision scalable, right? And so by you create that scalability by creating order and the best foundation. So here, God always blesses structure and order and clarity. He breathes on what is prepared. As we prepare, we feel that fresh wind. That's what I'm saying. We're going to get our second wind. You're going to have fresh wind, fresh fire, fresh oil, fresh faith to help us close out this year well and to go into the new year with great expectation and great hope. Here, this is why finishing the year strong matters. That means don't just paste it in. Don't just slide in. No, not because the date is changing, but because discipline is shifting. We are shifting our discipline. Our next level requires us to have a clear vision, measurable goals, and a strategy that our team can work from. We need to have systems that our team can run with. So we want to be sure that as we move forward, that we have the right pace and we have the right understanding. So here we want to talk about today as we look at closing out this particular series, we want to create real momentum that's going into the new year, that's going to keep us going forward. So what we don't evaluate, we can't accelerate. So I know sometimes as leaders, we have some hard choices to make. We have some hard decisions to make. Sometimes they are not popular. Can I say that? Sometimes we are not making the popular decisions that everyone is in agreement, but that's why you are the leader. That's why you have the insight and the discernment and the awareness, and then you bring others on board. So here as a leader, you've got to conduct a business audit, conduct a ministry audit. Look at our revenue. Where are our strongest points? Where are our weakness points? Where do we need to evolve in some of our streams of income? What do we need to assess even our expenses? What isn't producing an ROI? What isn't giving us a return on investment? How can we therefore reduce that and attribute those fundings to something else where we will have a bigger push, where we will have a bigger zeal, where we have the interest of those that are coming along? Sometimes even as leaders, thank you, Holy Ghost, sometimes as leaders, we might have an idea and it's not for now. That's what we talked about. Timing is so key. Sometimes it is a vision appointment. Sometimes it is strategizing to get ready for the right timing. So maybe you don't need to pour expenses into it right now. You need to make sure that you're preparing, make sure that you're structuring, make sure that you're evaluating your options so that when the time is right, God can do it. Here, look at your customers and your clients. Who are your profitable customers? Who are those that are adding value? Who are those who are proving their loyalty? And then who drains capacity? Oh my God, that is a good one. Who's draining? Who is pulling away versus adding? And so you've got to be able to assess those things. And sometimes it is difficult to look at it from a clarity perspective, from a leader perspective, but you've got to be able to call it out. You've got to be able to denote, nope, this is not working. This is draining. This is not adding value. And therefore, I got to assess how much capacity I want to put into that. I've got to assess how much resources do I want to align to something that is draining and not adding value. So sometimes you got to assess your why. Why are you doing that? Sometimes we have different complexes. Sometimes we have different biases. Sometimes we have different alignments and loyalties that the road has run out and there's time for separation. There's a way to be gracefully disengaged. Yes, it is. So sometimes you have to allow grace to allow you to move and pivot into the things that are better for you. Welcome, Ollie. Glad to have you today. So team performance, you want to look at that as well. Who is aligned and who is overextended? Who has the capacity to move forward in things? Who has the capacity and have giftings and talents and graces that you can align them further in other lanes and other channels of work? And then who's overextended? Who is it that you need to now reassess what they've been given so that they can work at their best? We don't want to overuse, overtax, overextend, because people will move into a lane where they feel where they are being neglected and where they're being abused or whether they're not being taken into consideration. As a leader, you have to do that, because even sometimes we may have people who are on our team and they're type A, they have a lot of zeal and they continue to take on more. We have to have a posture of wisdom and discernment to know, yes, I know you can do it. Yes, I know you are willing to do it. But thirdly, I care enough about you and the mission of God to know you can't do everything. And so I have people in my ministry and business that I have to also be mindful of them, because they have that mindset of always wanting to be vision pushers. They're purpose pushers. And I thank God for them. I appreciate them. But then as a leader, as one who has oversight and the one who has accountability and responsibility, you have to therefore also manage their capacity to help them to understand, yes, I know you can. And yes, I know you're willing, but you can't do everything. You have to take care of you. You can do so much better in the things you have been given responsibility to without overloading your plate. So here we have to look at that. Team performance is impacted by capacity. And you have to be able to know where you need to draw down and allow others to push up. You know, that's the spirit of discernment. You've got to have that when you're operating in the things of God, whether you're in your vocation, in working in the marketplace, you're in business, or if you're in ministry. You've got to have the spirit of discernment. Pray for that, because you have to know when to push levers and when to pull back. When to push in on something and when to pull back and maybe reset, revise, renew, retrain, because that kind of grace is necessary. Then you also want to look at it from a marketing perspective, what actually converted to revenue. So sometimes we're spending money in marketing and we're not doing our assessment. We have to assess where you are pouring revenue, where you're pouring your resources in, to see if you're getting the return that is necessary to continue doing so. If we're not getting the return, then maybe we need to do it differently. If you put marketing into, perhaps you're doing sales and maybe they're doing calls for you, or maybe you're doing a billboard, or maybe you're passing out flyers, you need to go back and assess to see, did it actually convert into revenue? Did it convert into a new client? Did it make any noise? That's good. What kind of noise did this make for your business? And if it didn't make any, then you need to reassess and realign. Looking at ministry impact, what bore spiritual fruit? What fruit came out of this? If you're operating, you're starting a new venture in ministry, you're starting to do some new activities within ministry, we're looking for fruit, not just activity. Because sometimes we can be busy, but busyness is not the sign of fruitfulness. Yes, sometimes you can do one thing, a lot of fruit, versus doing 5 things and being things. And so that is so imperative and so important that we are growing in what we are doing. So here we've got to evaluate. You cannot elevate what you refuse to evaluate. So evaluate is good. I hear all the time people say, well, you judge it. No, I'm fruit inspected. No, I am called to be a discerner of what is good and evil. We have that responsibility. We've got to discern whether this is bearing fruit or whether it is causing harm. That is not judging a person or from a perspective to be demeaning. I am evaluating for it to move forward. It's just the same when you go to the doctor. We go to the doctor and they ask you questions. They are evaluating your health. They're evaluating to see, where are you? Where do I need to put attention at? What do I need to put some test on? What do I need to make it better, make you healthier? That's the kind of evaluation we need to be doing. And don't be afraid to do that, because sometimes we allow things to align for so long until it dies and until it causes more harm than good. No, you need to be evaluating. Even in your business, you have to evaluate. So here, you have to make sure that you give your time to evaluation. You also want to make sure that in your next level, it requires better systems. I'm sorry, y'all look like we were having some technical difficulties there, but you also want to make sure that you have better systems, not just bigger vision. Woo, not just bigger vision. We can have bigger vision, but do you have a system that can support it? So not just having a bigger vision, we want to have better systems. So many leaders fail because we're trying to scale with passion instead of structure. We can scale with passion, but we also need to align it to structure. If God sends increase to a system that can't handle increase, that increase becomes stress. That's why sometimes God puts us in a waiting pattern. That's why he puts us in the process. That's why we're in the system of preparation, so that when it does come, we're ready. So here, before the year ends, what you're planning on in 2026, what you are envisioning, what you are calling forward, what you are tarrying for, what you are fasting for, what you are believing for, also make sure you are preparing for, not just in our thinking, not just in our mindset, but naturally in the earth. What structural systems have you set up to handle it as it comes? So here, there are 3 essential systems that we need to look at when you're running a business. Weekly cash flow review, looking at automated savings, looking at clear profit savings. So these are financial systems. We need to look at that from your financial systems. What do we need to prepare for as we go into this new year? Weekly cash flow, automated savings, clear profit margins, tax planning. Don't wait till the tax season is here to start planning. That's why some of us fall into so much stress and duress. If we start ahead, things are more planned. And then when we do have where we have to go and find something we hadn't planned, you have time to do that because you started early. But when you run up against the clock, everything becomes pressed. Everything becomes stressed. But if you put systems in place, we can do that now. So even our expense categories and accountability in our accounting, you can put that in order now. Another system that we can look at is our operational system. Document processes. Listen, you never want to be single-threaded where only one person knows how to do it and all of it is in their head. That puts you in a level of risk. You have risk if something happens, that one person is unavailable or the one person knows how to do it is not available. You have placed now your business or your ministry, whatever you're doing, your assignment at risk. You've got to document your processes so that others can carry the mission forward, even if the main person who started is not available. Consistent customer and client onboarding, consistently bringing people in, consistently looking at how do we increase, right? Because that builds momentum, that builds fresh ideas, that builds revenue. So service delivery framework, what is your service delivery framework? What is it? How do we have a framework, right? We're talking about building solidified foundations that can hold us for new capacity. What is the framework? Team communication expectations. Communication is so key. The more we talk, the more we're aligned, the more people can carry the vision. Write the vision, make it plain. That way there's an understanding, there's clarity. Ministry and business workflows. How do we work together? What is the system so that ministry and business work together? Because there are business aspects, there are ministry aspects. They've got to work together. They've got to be threaded together so they advance the mission and vision. Here, leadership systems. How do we get our leaders? Time blocking. Oh, this is what I have to do. Block time. Block time for you to be strengthened. Block time for you to gain what you need, clarity, meditation, reading, building your spiritual foundation, having blocking time to have personal development. What is that development that you're working on? What are you studying? What are you listening to? What are you reading? How can you feed your faith and starve your doubt to death? Quarterly review rhythms. Look at, am I in rhythm? Am I in the pace with God? Am I in the pace where I should be? Am I out of rhythm? Sometimes we don't do any of the validations until we are off kilter, until we're way off rhythm, until we are feeling the effects of it even physically, because we ran ourselves into the ground. But if we do this quarterly rhythm review, if we do a quarterly outlook about where are we, then we will have time to use our wisdom to reassess and realign. Systems are on the rails. Your next level will ride on. The rails that you have today, your next system is going to ride on it. So you can't pray for expansion and run on broken promises and broken processes and broken clarity and broken levels of communication. You've got to strengthen them and enable them so that your rails are strong for the new weight, so that your rails are strong to go further. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with your team. So if you're going to go far on the rails, you've got to continue to strengthen them. You got to continue to have the oil. Yes, Lord, you got to have the oil. So here, before we close out, I want to make sure that you are looking at your industry, looking at what your alignment is, and making sure that you match your strategy of your assignment and your industry. Your industry, they've got to thread together. So business and ministry are not one size fit all. So you got to look at what works in your assignment. So a restaurateur shouldn't plan like a consultant. A realtor shouldn't strategize like a nonprofit leader. A ministry leader shouldn't function like a corporation, but it must operate with excellence and stewardship. So these are components that operate in every industry, in every capacity, in every organization. Excellence and stewardship. So in this year, before we close out, right, we're strategizing for 2026. We're getting ready for our new jobs. We're getting ready for our new businesses. We're getting ready for our new clients. We're getting ready for our new ministry coming in. We're getting ready for increase, but we're preparing today. We're not waiting. What we do today is the sum total of what we prepared for yesterday. And so if we prepare now, we can move the mission and vision forward quicker. So look at it. For 2025, go back and look at your industry trends. Go back and look at customer behavior. Go back and look at your capacity. Where is it I had extra capacity that I didn't make use of? Or where is it that I was overextended? I need to make sure that I'm training others either to come along with me, or I need to reevaluate whether this is necessary. Look at your assignment. Make sure you're still on an assignment and that is aligned to the now. Now faith is a substance of things. So what am I aligned to for the now? And make sure that my faith is aligned to it so that I can do what is necessary in the now season. Look at your message. Look at your margin. Look at how you're communicating out, because a cookie cutter strategy leads to cookie cutter results. And we don't want to be that way. We want new, innovative, advancing ideas, clarity, and creation in the earth. And so we want to do that. Leaders who finish strong build strategies that are specific. So we want to be specific. We want to be targeted. And we want to make sure it is tied to our purpose and mandate, our mandate from God. So again, don't just prepare to end the year. Prepare for momentum. We are refueling in these last weeks going out of 2025. We're refueling and we're getting ourselves ready to maintain our goal and maintain our momentum in 2026. So thank you for joining us today on Money Monday. I am Pastor Tawana Grant. It has been my pleasure to share with you. Again, I want to extend a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. I pray God's blessings be upon you. Peace and blessings to you on today. God bless you.